Every time you scrolled through TikTok, your data may have been going to China. Not in theory, not as a risk, actually going there, stored on servers in China, while TikTok told European regulators under oath that it wasn't. In May 2025, the Irish Data Protection Commission handed TikTok a fine of $530 million. It's one of the largest privacy fines in history, and the story behind it is more troubling than the number. Welcome to the Compliance Edge, where we break down the biggest data privacy, fraud, and regulatory stories affecting real people. Let's get into it. Before we get into what TikTok did, it's worth understanding why an Irish regulator is fining a Chinese company over data belonging to people across the entire European Union. The answer lies in how the GDPR, Europe's data protection law, actually works. Under GDPR, when a company has its European headquarters in a specific EU country, that country's regulator takes the lead on enforcement for the whole continent. This is called the one-stop shop mechanism. TikTok's European headquarters is in Dublin, Ireland. So the Irish Data Protection Commission, the DPC, is responsible for regulating TikTok across all of Europe. It has the power to fine, order changes, and even suspend data transfers on behalf of 450 million EU citizens. That's the context. Now here's what TikTok actually did. The DPC investigation focused on one question. Was TikTok sending personal data belonging to European users to China? And if so, was it doing so legally? European law has strict rules about transferring personal data outside the EU. The concern is simple. Once data leaves the EU can no longer guarantee how it will be treated. If it goes to a country with different laws or no meaningful privacy protections, those protections disappear with it. China is exactly that kind of country. Chinese law includes provisions that require companies to cooperate with national intelligence operations. Under the National Intelligence Law, any Chinese company, or company operating in China, can be compelled to hand over data to the government. There is no independent court to challenge this. There is no transparency about when or how it happens. TikTok's parent company is ByteDance, a Chinese company. The DPC found that TikTok had been transferring European user data to China, specifically allowing employees in China to remotely access that data without adequate protections in place. The legal mechanisms TikTok claimed to rely on, called standard contractual clauses, were not sufficient given what Chinese law actually requires. In plain terms, TikTok said, "We have contracts that protect this data." The DPC said, "Your contracts are useless against Chinese government requests, and you know it." That alone would have been serious enough. But then came the revelation that made it worse. Throughout the entire investigation, which lasted several years, TikTok told the DPC that European user data was not being stored on servers physically located in China. This was one of their key defenses. Yes, some Chinese employees could access the data remotely, but the data itself lived in Europe and the United States. Chinese servers weren't holding it. In February 2025, TikTok internally discovered that this was wrong. A limited amount of European user data had in fact been stored on servers in China, not a theoretical risk, not an edge case. It had actually happened. TikTok waited until April 2025 to tell the DPC. The DPC had been investigating this for years. TikTok had given formal evidence denying exactly this. And 2 months after internally discovering the truth, they disclosed it. The fine of $530 million breaks down as follows. $485 million for the illegal data transfers, and $45 million for failing to properly inform users about those transfers. The DPC also ordered TikTok to bring its practices into compliance within 6 months, or suspend transfers to China entirely. If you use TikTok, your data, your videos watched, your location, your device information, your behavioral patterns may have been accessible to people in China with no meaningful privacy protections. Whether Chinese authorities ever accessed that data is unknown. TikTok denies it. But that's precisely the problem. Under Chinese law, we may never know. This case is part of a broader pattern. Over the past few years, European regulators have fined Meta $1.2 billion for similar violations involving data transfers to the United States. They fined LinkedIn $310 million for behavioral advertising. They fined Uber $290 million for improper data transfers. The message from European regulators is consistent. If your data leaves the EU, the protections follow it. Or you pay the price. For ordinary users, this is a reminder that the apps on your phone are not neutral tools. They collect data, they move data, and the rules governing where that data goes and who can see it matter far more than most people realize. TikTok has said it disagrees with the decision and may appeal. The case is not over, but regardless of the outcome, this investigation has put every major tech platform on notice. The EU is watching where your data goes, and it will enforce the rules. The Compliance Edge covers exactly these kinds of stories, the decisions that affect your data, your rights, and your money, broken down so they actually make sense. If that's useful to you, subscribe. New videos every week. See you in the next one.